Well, divorce is one of the most traumatic things that most people go through in their lifetime, and it's important that they are able to have some best advice possible to help them move on with their lives. They're being asked to make decisions about pensions and where they're going to be living and the arrangements for their children at a time when really perhaps emotionally they're not in the best place to make those sort of decisions. So they do need a solicitor who's going to support them through the process. The divorce costs traditionally have no limit. Solicitors, all they do really is give a cost estimate, but it's not a guarantee and it's not a cap. So the costs can escalate horrendously in some cases. You read about cases in London where the judges have complained, High Court judges have complained that the costs have reached £500,000 and they're only halfway through. So that's obviously in relation to the big cases that usually tried in London. That gives you some flavour of how things can get out of control. This was the first firm of solicitors in the country to introduce fixed fees for divorce, for the whole of the financial side of divorce, that is, in January 2009. The reason for that is we believe very strongly that in order to achieve a fair outcome, which is what your clients are trying to get out of the financial side of their divorce, paying a fair fee is part of that. And we believe strongly in fighting our clients' corner and getting them the fair outcome they need. Legal aid has gradually been eroded over the years. I think when it first started in 1949, 8 out of 10 people qualified for it. By the time it got to 2013, it was down to less than a third of people qualified for it. And then in April of 2013, it was effectively abolished for all cases where there wasn't significant issues concerning domestic violence and a few other conditions. But for the vast majority of people, it has now been abolished, which means that people have the choice of either representing themselves in court, which is horrendously difficult because they don't understand the law or the procedure, or they have to pay a lawyer by the hour with an open-ended bill. Well, the problem with legal aid being abolished is that people try to represent themselves, and that can create all sorts of problems, particularly when you have one party who is more dominant and has perhaps said to their spouse, we should settle on this basis, and they then present them with a fait accompli saying, this is what I think is a good settlement solution. The client then comes and sees you, say, I've spoken to my husband, he thinks this is a really good settlement solution, I don't want the stress of court proceedings, and you go through it with them, and you work out quite quickly that the reason that their spouse is so in favour of it is because it's so biased. They need someone who's objective, who's going to point out the pitfalls, point out the fact that not having a share of his pension is going to be a complete disaster when they retire, pointing out that not having any spousal maintenance from him is a big mistake, which and once it's been dismissed, they'll never be able to bring it back. Pointing out that by agreeing to have the house sold when the eldest child finishes school, that they'll probably be unable to rehouse themselves because they may not be earning very much money, whereas the husband will continue to earn at a high level and will easily be able to rehouse himself. So it's pointing out to people and being objective and saying, this is really not in your interests, and supporting them through the process.